All right, I think we're live now, but yeah,
Okay, right
it
on.
used to be it used to be a thing. It was the blend tech, and that was the tagline or whatever. Will it blend? But
This
anyway,
is the good thing about technology is everybody who can do something kind of weird or impressive can now have a shot at being like a celebrity for what they want to do.
this is true, very true.
Like, I mean, some of them are for pretty weird reasons. I mean, if you're that guy's probably making a lot of money just throwing shit in a blender, like more than like a doctor or something crazy.
Yeah,
But it's still cool that like there's an expert at making cakes and they get to be stars too, not just people who like play the piano and sing or something, you know.
right. You can do something that's super obscure and still there's that channel that smashes things with a hydraulic press,
Yeah, yeah.
or another
It's
channel where
like
they
really
just
satisfying for some reason.
yeah, smashing
You know
just
what
the
my
weirdest
weirdest one
things.
is though? The
What?
weirdest one that I watch it that my girlfriend thinks is really strange. I don't like actively go look it up, but it was on the sidebar one day on YouTube and I clicked it. So now when I go on YouTube, it like reminds me to like, why don't you check this weird shit out? It's called Crack Addicts, and it's chiropractors cracking people's
Oh,
backs,
dude,
and
that's
it's
so
almost
popular
like
right
I'm
now.
there. And I've never been to a chiropractor before, so
Me neither. But I'm I've been like cracking my own back and everything, and I've been watching those videos where they're cracking people's backs and their necks and doing that weird thing where they're like pulling the neck,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it
that's my favorite.
yeah, because right after
I'm gonna
people are
go one
usually
day. I'm gonna get to the chiropractor's office, and they're like, "So have you ever been here? Do you know what's gonna happen?" I'm like, "No, but I definitely know what's about to happen."
trust me, I
I've
know
been,
I've seen enough
then I like,
videos.
and then I light a candle and like turn the lights down. Like I've been waiting for this most of my life.
Like, Michael, you can leave your pants on.
It's your back we're focusing on today. We're not trying to hit you hard. So what's up with you, man?
Not much, man. Oh, we got some viewers in the chat now. And since we got some people, we're just gonna go ahead and jump into the show. Hey guys, welcome to the Shiplife TV podcast, the show that's dedicated to raising awareness of the opportunity of working on cruise ships and helping new and existing crew have an enjoyable experience. We're joined by Michael Redden today. Michael Redden is a really good friend of mine. I met him on my first contract. He is a solo guitarist on cruise ships, and I think that's all you've done on ships for like what 6 7 years.
Yeah, I think almost 7 now. Yeah.
That's
So
crazy,
I was
man.
actually with Jordan the night that he went and like asked his wife out.
Yeah. That's so funny because
I
I
remember being so impressed by your balls that night. Like that you're just like, fuck it, man. I'm gonna go right to her door and ask if she wants to hang out. And I was like, wow. And I guess she did.
yeah, it worked.
She's like, I'll hang out. What are you saying for like next like 50 years or so? Do you want to?
Yeah, that's she signed the contract, so it's official.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Well, congratulations, by the way. I haven't seen you since you got married.
Dude, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just had to stay away. I was a little hurt that I wasn't considered for the role. So, but
Oh,
whatever, man.
you live too far, man. I mean, if you lived
Yeah,
in LA, you have
she's more
you have a shot
attractive than me, but
in some ways.
yeah.
Well, what's up to some of the
So
people in the chat?
and I heard
Twesty
you
and
had.
Guillermo.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying what's up to some people in the chat. In case you're not familiar with the format or some of the other people, they may be new. Normally, what happens is, I'll typically go into a conversation with the guest, and then, so Michael, you and I will be talking about pretty much anything we want, and then, but we do have a live Q&A, so sometimes people they'll drop questions in the chat, and then, we'll give our perspective on. What we think the answer may be, and I think you and I will have very similar perspectives. But then again, who knows? Because you've been on ships way longer than I have, but we've both
Yeah.
been musicians. But yeah, man. Yeah, I'm just really excited to connect with you again. It's been a long time.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's been like 5 years. Is it 5 years?
Has it been 5?
It's crazy, man. It goes so
Yeah.
fast. Because was it the Equinox that you were on?
No, it was the Silhouette.
Okay, so
That
it
was
was my second contract with Celebrity. Yeah, so still pretty much 5 years though, because
basically, yeah.
I went to was it, I think, yeah, it was the Equinox, I think. Yeah, the last one I just got on, and they gave me this certificate for 5 years. Then you got to go like see the captain and get a picture and stuff, right?
How,
And I never drink, right? Like I
yeah.
pretty much never drink, and then for some random reason, someone convinced me to drink, and I got like
When did this
borderline
happen,
blackout.
dude? We used to drink all the
And then I
time.
had to go up. I had to go up into the bridge with the captain, and I'm just like, I was still drunk for sure. Don't tell anyone, but
Okay.
but
Dude, that's great.
that marked my 5 years with that company. I was like, wow. I don't know if this is impressive or pathetic. I've said one contract way too many times. One more contract.
Yeah, that's a very common thing for everybody. Luckily,
It's at the end of the day, it really is a good life
hmm
because you're safe, you are being taken care of. Everybody could always want more money or more of this. The grass is always greener, but when you take a step back and you look at life on a cruise ship, it's
yeah.
pretty amazing. You met your wife. I met the girl of my dreams there too, who I live with now in Ontario.
Really, you met her on the
So
ship?
yeah, she was a dancer,
Nice.
and yeah, we've been together 2.5 years now, I think.
You seem to have pretty good luck with the entertainment department. I feel like with, with if you're not like a venue musician, at least for I'm sure you've seen it before and you've experienced it. Dealing with the cast and the dancers, it's usually like a
Yeah,
very like divided wall.
yeah, it's getting more and more interesting. I find with cast and entertainment. I find like maybe because of social media, ship life I've noticed is getting, I don't know, more like scandalous or something like that over the years. Like,
In what sense?
well, there can be more like people are getting more and more entitled. I think it is.
Hmm.
People are just trying to live in their echo chamber through social media, and I've noticed like the way that people are on cruise ships is like, can you believe they want me to do this? And they're like, I don't know if they're getting more lazy or whatever, but it's just
Yeah.
like everyone. But on a ship, everything is so confined that you notice that behavior because you're with these people all the time,
Yeah. 24/7.
But I mean, everyone's still great, but it's I've
You're
noticed it's
starting to
got a little.
notice that a little bit more than usual.
Yeah, I guess the
Yeah.
whole world's going that way too.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I could see that happening. And what's up, Veronica? Thanks for supporting the channel. As far as Lime Entertainment goes, I mean they're cool, but not really. I haven't really posted a video promoting them in a while. Michael, you're still with Landau?
Yeah, I've been with the same guy ever since. He's great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's great. I mean, I remember talking to you about it, and my personal experience with Landau. I remember telling you it was just like it was okay. Um,
Yeah.
and I remember on my last contract when I was a duo with Landau specifically, there was a time when I was on the ship and I was trying to work out this whole thing because Lacey got pregnant and then she was.
Yeah.
There was a few weeks and before she was gonna sign off, so I was like furiously typing away in my cabin trying to get in touch with my agent, and he didn't get back to me for like an entire week. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And then a
Yeah.
week later, he was like, oh yeah, sorry, I was out of town. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there's nobody else who can. Anyway, so
I try to. Little tip is I try to look at the agent as really the guy that gets the gig started, and then
yeah,
everything else I just kind of go through with the company. Like
yeah,
I've made a point of having a good working relationship with the people in the company as opposed to just like waiting for the agent to do these things, which I don't think are even his responsibilities. Like I've never even met my agent. He's been great. People always have different things to say about their agents. So far, he's always like, helped me get the things that I need, especially
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to booking, when I'm with, to be on contracts with my girlfriend and stuff. So I've always just had a really good experience with the agents. But, you know, working out the details you want in a contract um, is not only like a bargaining or a negotiating thing for the agent, but you got to be kind of good at it yourself too, right? Like some
Yeah.
people don't get the money they want, and they're like, this experience with an agent isn't going the right way. And maybe the reason I've had such a good experience with ships and the agency and stuff like that is making a point to have a good relationship with your agent. So then you're not just like, I want this, do this, and they're not that that's what you do, but I'll just
Right, right, right.
explain to more someone listening, you know.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really great point that you bring up, is trying to establish that relationship and really, again, make it a relationship, and it's both ways. You're trying to work with them so that they can,
Mm-hmm.
work with you. It's not really just like, well, you're getting 10%, so do whatever I want you to do.
Yeah, I don't
there's a
even
give
know
and
what he
take.
gets paid.
Yeah,
Because you know
whatever. I
what's
mean, as long as
crazy?
you're happy.
Have you heard this one? Speaking of agencies and stuff like that, and pay, I've now met like quite a few people who their agents are like doing this double dipping thing. They're getting the 10 or 15% from whoever the musician is,
Mm-hmm.
and like through the company or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're getting convincing the musician to send them through PayPal their 10 or 15% because they are pretending that's how they get their cut. So they're getting
Oh.
paid twice. And so on a couple of occasions, the people were like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "I'm telling you, go check that out. Those guys are screwing you over, right?" They're like,
Mm-hmm.
and every time so far, it's turned out that they have been double dipping, and they don't whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
and they don't work for the company anymore because they get like
Whoa.
blacklisted. And there's this one chick I met, dude. Oh my god, I felt so bad. She, you know how there's like the clause. So anyone who's listening that doesn't know, if you sign with an agent, usually there's an exclusivity or whatever
Mm-hmm.
contract. So you can't. If I say go work for celebrity, I can't. If I ditch my agent, they say that you can't work for that company for like 2 years. You've heard of this,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so this guy was like kind of screwing over or whatever, and then convinces this girl that he, no matter that she has to pay him the percentage, no matter what, indefinitely. And she had been working like it was something between 3 and 5 years for celebrity, and he'd been fired this time. And she's one of these like lifers, like she almost doesn't even go home,
Uh-huh.
and she had been sending him like whatever it is, like $450 a month for like almost up to 5 years, I think it was. And I
Oh
was like,
my
and
gosh.
they're not even connected. He just convinced her. And I was like, you really got to stop. She's like, no, it's not a big deal. I'm like, it's a really big deal. There's someone robbing you. and and now that you
No, it's
know,
fine.
you're gonna let them rob you. Like,
Right. Yeah. Now that I've told you that he's actively robbing you, yeah, it's fine. It's okay.
yeah. She's
Dude, that's
like, I
crazy.
think that she either didn't want to be embarrassed, or she felt like, when you're trying to be polite to somebody and not like
Yeah.
socially awkward, she didn't want to have to bring it up to this guy who's like stealing her money. Like you can
Oh
fire someone, like
man.
you can, if someone is doing a really bad job as your agent on the cruise ships, you can fire that person and still work for the company if
Right.
there's all like a just cause for everything. So
Right. Yeah,
don't be
absolutely.
afraid of that, people. don't let don't let yourself get robbed.
Dude, as far as I can remember, you've always been really good at making sure that you get what you're worth. I remember
No,
even like after knowing you
I
for a couple
tried.
months, like you even had this. You were even talking to me about talking to your agent and just negotiating for more,
Yeah,
significantly more money because you knew that you were worth more. And I think at that time I wasn't, like I was like super new, so in my head I thought to myself, I didn't even know you could negotiate for more. I thought it was just like a
Hmm.
take it for what it is kind of thing.
Right. Yes. And since then, I've negotiated it up like almost twice as much as I was making because uh, if you're putting in all this work for something, the company, if you do an okay job of showing them, they're going to respect that you're doing your hustle too. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times on the ships, I'll try to go add these extra shows in the theaters and stuff like that and add
Mm-hmm.
value because I want to make it feel as though that I'm growing, or it's going to feel stagnant, and then I'm going to want to go home and not enjoy ship life anymore. Do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people, I think, when it comes to with agents too, they're too afraid. People are too afraid to have this conversation because they're being polite and they're worried about feeling socially uncomfortable with asking things. But what I'd always say to them is like, you got to remember the people you're talking to, their job is negotiating deals. It's not an uncomfortable conversation for an agent to talk about money and deals. That is his sole job. That's what he does for a living. So if you want more, you get like talk. That's the guy to talk to. That's what
Right.
his role is. Otherwise, what's the point of him?
Yeah.
So
No, that's a really good perspective to have, and I'm glad that you said that because it even makes me it reminds me again what you said is that it's his job to talk about negotiating contracts and talk about money, like he does it every single day.
he's
So,
not he's not scared of that topic like we are because we have no, especially as musicians.
hmm
Like usually, it's like we've all had that period of time where we're eating ramen and sleeping on a friend's couch because you're
hmm
trying to make it or whatever.
yeah,
But so you're used to like feeling uncomfortable with money because you usually come from not a lot of it. But these people deal with it all the time, so you shouldn't be afraid to have that conversation,
right.
especially if you're going to be away from home, giving up your life goals. Uh, you should be trying to get what you feel like you're worth.
For sure. And that's the other thing is that like you said, in terms of us not having that conversation very often, I think it's also important to realize that we we should really step up our game because if people notice that we're not used to having that conversation, it's easy to be taken
Well,
advantage of as well.
oh, easy. And people, I see it all the time. People ask, what do you think I should do? And I go, well, I might not even have all the right answers, but having an honest conversation with your agent or your booker or anyone on the ship is should be at least the first step.
Right.
Um, but if anybody tells you in any profession in the world that you can't make more at the job that you're doing, they're lying to you.
Mm-hmm.
What job can you only make a certain amount of money? It's just not real. So they have like this, the status quo, whatever you call it. Like they're expecting this much from you in that position, but if you want to take it up higher, and that's going to help them out. If you have a conversation that says, "Listen, I'm giving you incentive to pay me more because I'm adding all this value," then you're going to
Right.
make more. And when you got all that free time on the cruise ship, you might as well be using it to make more money. Some people do like the art gallery stuff. That was never really for me.
Nah. What do you make
Um,
like $10 an hour?
I can't remember. It was
Yeah.
never really
Nah.
my thing. I
Yeah.
mean,
No, it
I
wasn't
always
worth it.
respected the people who did it. Like
Mm-hmm.
$10 an hour. What's that? $20 is $20.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. And
So
but it wasn't for me either. I tried it one
yeah,
time. It sucked.
but unfortunately, it's not like you can really do much else. Like I guess you download the movies and stuff like that and hit the gym. But
Right.
I reckon if I ever go back again, I'll try to just hustle all I can.
Right.
I've gotten this
So,
whole new mindset that I just want to do as much as possible the second I get out there again.
dude, that's great. So, are you not? Have you actively decided you're not going to go back on ships? Is that?
No, I just mean when I go back in terms of like when the world will allow it because
Oh, gotcha.
everything's shut down. Like that,
Gotcha.
the industry, man, oof,
Yeah.
it's not looking good for them right now. They're like hemorrhaging. I saw you had a little thumbnail up before the stocks plummeting, and then you were saying they were getting better. I
Yeah.
didn't get to see what happened. What were you saying there?
Basically, what was going on is that the stocks dropped I think they dropped like 20% or something like that or more.
Oh,
Um,
way more at the beginning. I don't know what they're now.
right. Well, they just a week ago they dropped on that day like 20%. So they've
Oh
dropped
yeah, yeah.
in general. They've dropped maybe like an entire third of what they're worth. They were worth
Yeah,
before.
that's wild. Do you
Yeah.
know
So
what they're
they're
at now for like RCL fans?
last time I checked, it was like $15 a share for Carnival, and then it
Oh,
was
okay,
around
yeah,
like 45 for Royal, somewhere around
Royal.
there.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because before, you don't quote me, but I think they were like 115 or 120, and then when COVID hit, that big day when they like sent everybody home, they dropped down to like $20, and then like friends of mine were like buying stocks like
Mm-hmm.
right away, and then
Right.
they've already doubled their money already because
Mm-hmm.
they went back up to like 45 or something like you said. So,
Right.
but man, that's got to be rough. Like
Yeah. For those
for people
companies.
who those like lifers in the company, I feel really bad for them,
Oh, for
and
sure.
especially all those people from the countries that really need it. Like, dude, that's rough. Like think of the Caribbean, man. All those islands that are dependent on tourism,
Yeah.
all the people from countries like the Philippines, where it's like a huge part of their economy working on ships and stuff like that.
Yeah. I was just talking to Carlota about that the other day. With those companies who depend on tourism, because it's on both sides. Like a lot of people are talking about, oh, the cruise ships and the crew on the ships, but it doesn't just impact them. It impacts everybody else. It's this whole trickle down effect,
Yeah,
and
I would argue it affects everybody more than the people who even work on the ship, like a lot more.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
like the people who work, well, I mean that's debatable, obviously, but
Sure.
um, for a good portion of them anyway. I mean, like certain places are, you take those cruise ships away, that whole city's closed down.
Right. Yeah. No, it's
Yeah,
very
like
true.
there's probably places right now that are getting desperate, and I would like expect they're gonna get like violent and stuff because people like it's gonna get crazy out there. I think
Right. Yeah, I,
because
I'm
if you don't have money,
I'm kind of preparing for that for things to get a little crazy. This whole the idea of it turning into kind of like that desolate apocalypse, and people are just like
yeah.
looking to get into your a house that looks empty or something like that and find out what they got
What
inside.
steps have you taken? Have you bought like ninja swords and like nunchucks? You're going to the grocery store and you're buying every fucking can of spam they have. Everyone's like, you've got a lot of warning. You think you want something to taste a little better than spam? No, it's like the movies.
You can buy something other than spam. We've got like rice, we've got steaks. Nope, only spam and Twinkies.
It's cookies. Yeah, exactly. So what have you been doing? You just like trying to mentally or financially prepare?
Both actually, because I just got a new job, working as a coordinator and producer with video. So I've been stocking up the reserves and, but I mean, in terms of like the whole security thing, not so much. But just it's always in the back of my mind, that this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
this is this can be a really crazy time for some people. So just to kind of be
Yeah, I
aware
think
of.
shit's gonna hit the fan soon, man. Like it already has, but I
Hmm.
think we're getting to that tipping point or that boiling point. People are really like people are going into grocery stores now and like, dude, listen, in Minden, which is a place here in Ontario, just up the road, a guy got killed the other day because he went to a grocery store, this older gentleman, and they told him to put his mask on, and he refused, and they got into some altercation, and then he like assaulted the person who works there or something. So then he went home, and then the cops showed up at his house, and they had a shootout, and now he's dead over a
Whoa,
mask.
this was just the other
So like
day.
this was like yeah, like within a week, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so people are losing their lives over a friggin' piece of cloth in their face. It's just come on.
That's ridiculous, man.
Do you guys have mandatory masks?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you-
basically,
okay.
if you're out here in LA, if you're gonna go anywhere, you got to have a mask.
Like, can you walk down the street without one, or just when you go inside?
You can walk down the street, but yeah, if you're in a private place, they can mandate you
Yeah,
to
yeah,
wear a
yeah.
mask.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just started like last Friday, like just
In
started.
general,
Yeah.
like
Well, yeah. Like everyone, there was so many people all doing it anyway because they like
yeah.
suggested it. But it wasn't until just like a week ago that you legally have to put on a mask.
Wow. In
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Halifax, you're in
But the
Halifax, right?
cases have been fine though. We're not like cities in America that are just exploding. Like it's pretty good.
Right. 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 Right.
Like my hometown in Halifax, like they or Nova Scotia too. They were like COVID free for a long time, so everything's just totally open back up. They
Oh
have
man.
like rules and stuff, limitations, but it's for the most part just totally like normal
You
life.
hear that, guys? We got to go to Canada.
Yeah, you guys should have. This is the planning you should have been doing the second they said it, right? Because now
Yeah.
you're stuck there. I don't think we're going to even open our borders for like a year or something crazy.
No. Have you heard anything like
Uh,
that where they're like prepping for it, like a migrant flood of people?
It it basically is a waiting game for getting all the COVID back, though,
Right.
because one day they're going to open the borders, and then Americans are going to bring it in,
Mm-hmm.
because we have the numbers, I think, falling at a rate that I think we're all going to get a control of it pretty soon.
Hopefully.
But everywhere seems to be doing this thing. The second that it starts to look pretty good, they open for the economy, and then they screw themselves. So I feel like the mistake with our country, as much as I love Americans and would like to see them here, it's that the day that there's 0 cases in the country, they're like, oh, we're all better now, and they're gonna open it, and then everyone's gonna come in, and then it's gonna be infested with the virus again.
Right.
So,
I was
'cause
just
I
talking to
don't.
Carlota, but it's like zombies. You gotta
Yeah.
stay away. You gotta stay away.
Did you know? There is a virus, I think it is, that is given to you by cats, I believe it is, and it makes you like it kills you. You have to. I wish I could Google here. I do actually. Um, oh yeah, it's everywhere. They're listening to us 24 hours a day. But it's like you get it from a cat, and it like kills you or whatever. But on the way out, it like you get all crazy and like mentally docile, but you become like physically violent, like aggressive. So it's like the closest thing to being a zombie.
Did you hear this on InfoWars from Alex Jones or something?
I hope so. I hope someone fact checks this. And it's like this guy's a complete imbecile. Fucking cat zombie. What?
While you're looking that up, Guillermo and Veronica, I see your questions here. We'll get to those in a second. But yeah, I'm interested in learning just a little bit more about this cat zombie epidemic.
It looks like it's called toxoplasmosis. I think. Wait, hold on. Now it's saying, does toxoplasmosis make you like cats? I've got it all wrong. It's a virus that makes you like cats. It
was way cooler before you looked it up.
No, I just think I looked it up improperly.
You just
How-
saw what you wanted to see. That's what
How
happened.
strange would that be? The warning signs for that virus, like everybody wear your masks, and if you get this, you're gonna start really liking cats. We know, Karen, you're gonna become a cat lady at 45, but if you get exposed, you could be there at 30.
It's gonna happen. We know it, but you could be there a lot sooner. So just be aware.
Yes.
Wear the mask, please.
I don't think this is it though. But anyway, let's pretend it exists, and everything that Alex Jones says is factual.
Yeah. Well, we know this already. All right, we're gonna jump into the chat.
He's pretty entertaining though. Like,
Oh yeah.
watching crazy people is fun.
Yes, I agree. Let's see. So Guillermo is saying, this is jumping back into the discussion of talking about salary with your agent, and he's saying that I think that one is afraid of discussing the salary because you may think that they might not hire you. But how do you know how much you're worth? I think that's a really interesting question. So how would you?
Yeah. Um, well, just like any job, the first thing you can use as sort of a place to start would be what they offered you.
Mm-hmm.
A company's uh, offer is never going to be what they can or would pay you. So, for an example, if I go start working at a job and they say, I always like using the number 100 just because it's easy for anything like this. So
Right.
they go, we're going to pay you $60 a day or whatever, right? Well, if they're going to pay you $60 a day, chances are they could go up to 100, so like 100%. Like that's where their max is. But they're not going to be like, hey, do you want to work for a company? Here's 100% of what we would pay you. I feel
Right.
like whatever that starting pay is will give you a pretty good idea of where you can go.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I would think that their offer, from what I've seen and has worked out for me, is the starting point is about 60% of where you can go.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah. There's always some
and
wiggle
and,
room there.
and and bringing up that conversation is not going to make your agent or the company not like you. If you do it the right way, the opposite might happen, where they'll begin to respect you, because it's like anything. If you're just a yes man pushover, then they're going to again take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying my agent would have taken advantage of me, or the company, or what have you, but people will start understanding what kind of person you are, and if they want you to do something, especially if it's last minute, they might go like, oh, this is the type of guy who will say yes to anything, let's just throw him this. Or this
Right.
is the type of person that's going to be like, no, I want a little bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
So
they'll definitely respect you more if you're able to have that conversation, look them in the eyes and say, "I think I'm worth more. Let's
yeah,
have that discussion."
yeah,
Versus I feel like a lot of people also have the idea that having the conversation is, "Well, you pay me more or I leave." It is a discussion. So you have that conversation. For example, I work with as a videographer and editor, I worked with ABS-CBN, which is a international company based in the Philippines, but I work with them out in Los Angeles, and they made a mistake. Oh, Rochelle is in the chat. She
no
says
way.
hi. I had her on the podcast a few weeks
Yeah,
ago.
she was telling me, right? You guys
Yeah.
don't know each other though, outside of
No.
meeting on yeah, yeah.
No. Yeah.
Cool.
But it's such a small world.
She's a good girl. I like her.
Yeah,
She's the best.
absolutely. What's up, Rochelle? But yeah, when I was talking to them, there was this issue with my pay, and so I was getting paid like $50 an hour for a shoot, and then what happened was they didn't realize how much they were paying me, and then when they finally looked into the books, they were like, "Whoa, we realized that you're getting paid $50 an hour," and then she looked at because she was looking at something on the invoices. Regardless, she said, what we normally pay people is $25 an hour. And I said, well, my rate is 50.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, I said,
APL guys.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But at the same time, because I'd gotten a lot of work from them, and I said, look, but we work a lot, so I want to make sure that this is I want to work with you here. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't come down to 25. And what I'm hearing from you is that you can't come to 50. So where's a happy place that we can meet in the middle? And she said 30, and I said, how about 40? And then we settled at 40. And I figured, okay, that's fair because it's something that's consistent.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
makes sense.
Versus if we started off and I said my rate's 50 and she said 25 and blah 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 blah. So it was a discussion. But another question I have, relating to
Yeah,
this
because you
is
could have, sorry to interrupt, you could
no,
have
yeah,
quite easily go, oh, I'm afraid to lose this client. Oh, I better just take 25. But then
exactly.
they're not going to respect you and do that either, you know?
Right. Yeah. You'll look like, oh, okay, they took the first offer, so
Yeah.
you look like a
So,
pushover.
and in
So
what situation would someone decide to pay more if they don't have to? So
right,
they're always
exactly.
going to try to pay the least because it's logical, you know?
Right.
So if
Yeah.
you
You always have to think about it from a company perspective. Like if you're running a company and you're looking at two, for example, vendors, and you're trying to pay for catering, and they offer essentially the same thing, but this cater you're going to save $100 here, even if it's not your money and you're doing it for like the executive, you're going to look like the hero. Like I saved you $100, boss. Like
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
it
You know
only
what?
makes
You
sense.
know what could be kind of cool to bring into this conversation with this idea of pay is this thing my friend Alex, who's a producer for me, he said it's like the main reasons you get gigs in the entertainment world is that's like not so much like money to is like if you're a good hang, if you're so talented that it's just like stupid,
Hmm.
and that if you have a big enough name, that working with that person will put your name up higher,
Hmm.
and it's kind of the control that you can have over your career too. If you're in a relationship through email or whatever with someone that you're trying to work with, in your the one thing that you can control is like what kind of hang you are, then that person will favor you more if you're enjoyable to interact with. As a like you can't control if your name's huge right away with some, but you can always control if you're like nice and easy to get along with. Like some
Right.
people just go like when we're saying like get what you're worth, we're not saying like be like a diva and then start shutting down offers. You know,
Right.
it's like be cool, you know.
Yeah. I've found that to be the at least for my approach when it comes to business, um, the most effective way to get business and get repeat business is be the type of person that you can have a conversation with.
Yeah, someone wants
Learn,
to hang with you.
yeah,
Yeah,
learn that person and just hey, what's up, man, and just be able to have a conversation with them. And yeah, anyway, if you're an enjoyable person to be around versus the other guy, like, yeah, because I've been in that situation too where I've had to hire subcontractors or outside help, and I'm looking at this person like, dude, you suck. Ugh, I don't
yeah, yeah.
like hanging out with
If
you.
you're cool to hang out with or more fun or whatever, they'd rather pay more to hang out with you and get the job done
Mm-hmm.
than less for some goofball who's just like bending your nerves apart. You know, it's so.
Right. Yeah. Because if
I
it's
mean,
if
really, that's the tip. You know, just be nice and you'll probably make more money.
yeah, I
But
think yeah
you don't
that's
have
the
to go
quote of the
brown nosing
podcast.
or anything. Just
Yeah.
so
And
did when Rochelle was on, did you guys talk about a new job?
no, in what sense? What do you mean?
Like her new job working as a producer on that Mike Holmes show.
No, no, no. We didn't get into specifics about like what she's doing now. Um, we mainly talked about her experience on the ship.
On the shit.
Yeah, but no, but that sounds really interesting because I
Yeah,
remember she
you'll
was
have
telling
to
me
have
that.
her back on because her job sounds fucking cool now. I'm
Yeah,
jealous. And do you
yeah.
know who Mike Holmes is?
No, it
Oh,
sounds
okay.
familiar
You
though.
know HGTV, right?
Yeah.
There was Holmes with Holmes. He's like one of the biggest like construction reality stars in the world, really.
Was he one of the twins or no?
No, no, no. But his
Okay,
show, I would like, I would say it was probably about as big as theirs, though.
interesting.
Yeah, it was a big show, and now this is like a new one, and she's working on it now for
You
however
said she's
long.
a producer on that show?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the title was, but it's one of the producers. Yeah,
Oh, that's really cool.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
dope.
I'll have
So
to talk to her about that. That's
she'll
pretty.
be like,
That's pretty dope.
if she's watching, like, why is he talking about me? But it's pretty cool. Congrats, Rochelle.
So we got another
So,
question here in the chat from Veronica asking. I think she's referring to the whole COVID thing, and she's wondering if there's a better time to apply. So since you're still active on ships right now,
mhm.
do you have any insight on this?
If it was my guess, this is probably going to be the best time ever to apply because there's going to be so many people that if you're willing to go work on a cruise ship for that risk of being exposed to the virus, this got to be the best time ever to get a job because there's
Sure.
going to be so many people not going to work because they're too scared. I read in the
Yeah.
paper that 1 out of 4 people, and maybe I saw it on Facebook, I don't know, but this article I saw was like one out of every 4 employees in small businesses are refusing to go to work right now because they're worried about getting COVID. So you can only imagine if it was an international cruise ship, how many people are not going to want to show up because it's
Yeah.
such an isolated place that it would be perceived that your chances of getting the virus are way higher. So there's going to be a lot of openings, I'm guessing, and a lot of people have switched to getting different jobs, so they're in a different place in life. So those are all going to be opportunities as well.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. That even with the dwindled amount of people, let's call it, I don't know, 80% of what crew used to be, who are now, they've been waiting around for like 6, 7, 8, 10 months or whatever. Now they're ready. Okay, cool. It's not going to be as many people as they're used to because I believe that there's going to be a lot of
No.
people that they got to go find jobs somewhere. They got to make money.
Yeah.
And then by the time they get that job and maybe they're comfortable and so not going to hop back on ships because they found a job already. So whatever that number is, then they go. But there's still going to be a certain amount of those people, like you're saying, that are worried about catching COVID.
Right. Yeah.
But from a personal perspective for you, do you, when they finally open back up again, if they were to open back up in like November or something like that, are you hopping back on?
Yeah, I probably will, just because I think it's one of those things that if you are smart about it, you probably can stop it
Sure.
from entering the body to some degree.
Sure.
And you got to remember the cruise ships are going to be held to this new standard that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um,
Their standards are already pretty high as it is.
yeah, it's nuts, man. I feel bad for those people, those deep cleans. They got to work till like 3 in the morning cleaning like every night. Kind of, it's nuts. But
Yeah.
so the new requirements are going to be nuts. I think it's going to be like a freaking hospital in there. Like everyone's going to be wearing masks, but when they open it, I don't think they're going to have a shortage of people willing to go on there.
Mm-hmm. You
I
mean
think,
in terms of
I
cruises?
think Americans are going to be lining up like, get
Oh,
me
yeah.
on that fucking beach and
Yeah.
get me a mudslide.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they're so. Like, this is why we enacted quarantine number 2, quarantine with a vengeance, because people were they were just so eager to get back out there
Yeah.
that they just went out there and just everything's fine now, and then that's what happened. So
Yeah, like when we get back on the ships, I think it's not going to be the most fun for crew like it used to be for
Sure.
a period of time. I think like things like Ocean View will be cut off to,
Mhm.
you'll be down in the mess all the time and things like that. So that'll be, we probably won't be allowed in places like the gym. So there's not that risk of transmission through perspiration and all that stuff like that.
right, heavy
But
breathing and
at
all
the
that.
end of the day, like it's still a good gig.
Oh,
They'll,
for
they'll
sure.
do something like the seats have to be X amount of feet away from the performer, and then you know what? Maybe you'll get extra lucky, and then they'll say you can't go ask for requests, and some like random senile guy who asks to hear like Bob Seger 5 times a night won't drive you crazy.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, and I think that would be a great thing if guests couldn't walk up to you in your face and ask you for,
Yeah.
Freebird. So
There was in every cruise there's someone who makes the Freebird joke. So, which is always kind of nice because they identify themselves right out the gate of the person you probably don't want to go hang out with.
Yeah.
Like, what original? But one of the last cruises I had on board, this one, you know how I've always got a hat on and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
I'm up there singing, and this drunk couple comes up, and they start taking pictures of me that they're like hanging off me, and they take my hat off and put it on their head.
No.
And while I'm singing, and I'm just like, the cartoons with the smoke coming out of their ears.
Uh-huh.
Get the fuck me.
Your face is just beat red at that point, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is the contract that I get kicked off on. This is the one.
Yeah. No, it wasn't so bad, I guess, but it made me remember how rude people can really be.
Oh, for sure.
Like we're a friggin' mascot or something to just,
That's how they kind of
Overall,
see you,
cruise
though.
ships are pretty, like, people are in a pretty good mood, though.
Mm-hmm. What are some? I was chatting with somebody else about some weird guest stories. What are some other interesting guest interactions that you've had that either you've laughed about or you were just like, this right here, this is why I don't want to go back. That you can remember.
Oh, well, I try. The thing for ships for me, and I won't put it on any company, that
Sure.
always makes me wonder about going back, is the pursuit of this hierarchy that goes on. I find that a little dull now. Like, people always coming around, trying to flex their stripes or whatever. That kind of gets, that wears thin. But with guests, we're in a position that we're really lucky. Every 3 minutes of your job, someone's being nice enough to like give you a round of applause. Like, even if you suck,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, if you're at Subway, imagine every sub you finish making, everybody's like, even if you suck at making that sandwich, So we're lucky. I mean, that's cool. There's been a couple times where guests, I've had to really put my foot down and just be like, listen, buddy, like, go sit down. Like, this when you bought a ticket to go on this cruise ship, it didn't include, degrading me, so go sit down,
Did you say that verbatim?
Oh, it was a lot worse.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
I was
why I
really
like you,
mad.
Michael. You're not afraid to say some shit like that. That's great.
Yeah, and then I made sure to immediately walk to the cruise director office and tell them what I said.
before they file the complaint. Yeah.
But they were good. The company doesn't want people just because they bought a ticket to just walk all over their employees either.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. I've seen them fight for
And
the
employees. The guy was like out of line too. It was to a degree that was like, But it started from a guy when I was playing in the Michael's Club. It started. I feel like you guys were on this, but
might have been.
it was cool. But you know how you have the monitor, right?
Yeah.
This guy parks his seat less than 2 feet from the monitor, and he just starts screaming like the music's too loud. And I'm like, well, I said as nice as one can. Like, you're sitting in front of a monitor. Like that speaker needs to be on so that I can hear myself.
Uh-huh.
And then that wasn't the issue. That was just the thing that started it. Then that kicked him up to like kind of like, do you know who I am, sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I just really hope I never get to know who you are from the couple seconds that you've told me about yourself. But yeah, I don't know. Actually, as the years go on, I want to be on ships more rather than less, as weird as that sounds.
Interesting. Why is that?
Because I think the government, if you will, that is the company, like, if you look at ship life in the sense of it being a society, it just makes way more sense. Like, with different countries, everybody has these different, levels of liberties and like what views are acceptable But on a cruise ship, everybody gets the exact same amount of um, abilities to believe what they want, and in that like hard line of like lack of tolerance for sort of intolerance, I guess, it makes everybody get along really well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how many times can you ever remember there being like a fist fight or someone like even like screaming at the top of their lungs to the point where it's like people are pulling each other? Like that just doesn't happen. So you'll have hundreds of hammered people dancing and having fun, and no one ever has a fight.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
when there is things that would tick people off. Like, for example, like people are really tired, they've been working like crazy. You think that they would be on edge and that they would like go off the handle, and yet nobody fights because with this sort of governing from the company saying like these are the rules and there's no flexibility. Like you get to believe what you want to believe. You know, your religion is okay, your sexuality is okay, the color of your skin's okay, the fact you're a woman in a higher position is okay. Everything is okay.
Mm-hmm.
The only rules you can't do are making people feel bad when they're not like you.
Right.
Then, and there's no wiggle room, so people don't even try it, and then
Right.
nobody's
Right.
fighting. And it's not that I don't believe in freedom of speech. Don't get me wrong, but it just happens to be a bubble that I like being in, I guess, because there's a whole lot less drama.
Right. No, that's a really great thing to bring up because, you know, even when it comes to the ship having to intervene, they do a really great job of training for the zero tolerance and the cultural awareness that they even prepare you for it rather. They prepare you for it in the first 2 weeks of the ship. Like, yeah, you're gonna meet a bunch of people. They got different, cultures, this, and this, and I feel like they do what they can, and I feel like that has, a good amount to do with the acceptance there. But in addition to the fact that, yeah, you really are just inundated with different cultures and different people.
Yeah.
And very quickly you realize, like, oh, we're all different here, and this is cool.
And I really feel like nobody gives a shit. Like, no, when you remove the ability for people to just start talking about their opinions so loudly, I feel like they get used to, or there's normalcy that's created about everybody that might be different around you, and then this acceptance happens, and then I really feel like no one cares if you act or look different on a ship.
Right.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I guess, that's, as they say, the white privilege, I guess. So I don't, but I don't
from a
perceive
white guy.
Yeah, I don't perceive it though. I know. That's the essence of the privilege, I guess. But I don't.
Right.
I don't really hear or see the stories where there's like big issues of people, being homophobic or racist or anything on the ship. So it's really good.
Well, shoot, on the last ship that I was on the Millennium, they had like a drag contest in the theater. They brought the dudes from like Indonesia, Philippines, like where there's a lot of fluid gender. And anyway, so they were on the ship and they were just like, strutting their stuff, and like the theater, I feel like it was about 60% occupied by only crew. And they were cheering them on. I thought it was like, dude,
I was
so
there.
awesome.
Yeah.
Were you there?
Yeah. Was that the guy from Jamaica, and he like did the splits, and it was like,
I can't remember because it was a while ago. But I mean, regardless,
it was crazy.
Yeah, dude, it's so awesome.
No, I think that was because I'm pretty sure I went and watched it with maybe you and Lacey. But anyway.
But that makes sense. It might have because I remember Lacey being there, so it might have. So then it might have been what ship was that when we were in the Mediterranean, and then Lacey and I were only there for like 7 weeks. No, it wasn't Silhouette. There was another. I think you and I were on the same contract. Were we only on one contract?
We were on 2 contracts together, but one was Norwegian and one was Celebrity.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. Oh, you want to hear a
regardless.
funny story?
Yes, I do.
You know that? Do you remember that like Polish band? I think they're Polish that came on the Norwegian Sun towards the end of our contract. They're like a new party band.
No. You know what? Norwegian. That was probably when Lex was the bassist.
Oh yeah. I forgot. Yeah. I was thinking.
That's all right.
Dave.
We look alike. It's fine.
Yeah, you guys are very similar.
We don't, by the way, but it's okay.
Oh man. Anyway, okay, the story won't be as funny now. It was this guy, and he was like this huge drug bust or whatever. It was crazy.
A drug bust on the ship?
There was a. Turns out, like, that some of the guys that were in the band were like high in some sort of Polish mob or some shit, and they were there to like traffic drugs or some shit. And anyway, they were like FBI wanted criminals or some shit, and they got like sent some shit like that. And
maybe they figured
like,
to be safe on the ship.
One of them they like threw the book at. He's like toast forever, yeah. And then the other guy who was part of the band, the drummer, he was like almost gonna like go away for it all, and then like somehow he wiggled free of it. And I was in next to Australia. What's that island called? You know, have you ever heard
New
of
Zealand?
Isle of Pines?
Oh,
It's near New
no.
Zealand. It's like this
Never.
island. It's really cool. Anyway,
Isle of Pines.
and I'm in line getting back on a tender, and I'm telling this story about what I read in the news to this guy who's in the orchestra, a drummer, and he's like, "Dude, that was me."
Wait, what? He was there?
He's like, "Yeah." He's like, and there was like this big thing with his passport and working and all this stuff, and he had to go home. I can't remember all the details, but it was crazy. But the best thing the best joke in my head that I got out of that story when it happened was that there were like mobsters, like Polish versions. But then I thought about this same like operation if it was pulled off by like some sort of like Italian mobster. They're like, you know, they're getting ready to go out, and it like, "Vinny, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm coming home from dinner with you guys." And he's like, "Man, get back there and practice your fucking skills. You know you have to go on a cruise ship and smuggle some fucking drugs. You need to be believable." Like, because these guys were so good. It's like proficient and like skilled at their instruments, and then turned out to be these like, they said Polish mafia, I don't know, but it was really funny.
It's like they went to music school just so they can go on the ships to be cruise ship mob.
Yeah.
Just to smuggle drugs. It's so intricate. The long con, right?
Yeah. They'll never suspect us if we come with a degree.
Yeah.
A doctorate in music.
Well, $100,000. That's a small investment.
Yeah.
And 8 years. That's not too bad.
Someone's come home. Hi,
Uh-oh.
how you doing? This is my girlfriend's sister.
Is it
I'm on a podcast right now.
Gotcha.
So I saw you doing a gig recently, didn't I?
Yeah. It
You're
was
still
my
playing,
first
yeah.
time playing on a boat in a while. I was actually playing in Marina del Rey, which is like a super rich area out in Los Angeles, and I was on a catamaran, it's those big yacht-like boats, but they're smaller, and it's got the two things on the side. It's kind of like a pontoon, just like a yacht pontoon. Yeah. So I don't know if they know what a catamaran is, but you know what a catamaran is. Anyway, but yeah, I was playing on a catamaran.
I think most people know what a catamaran is, don't they?
Do they? I guess maybe I'm like, I had no idea what a catamaran is. I had to look it up. So.
Oh, that's fine.
But yeah, no, it was chill. I hadn't played for a while. Like I don't play very
Del
often.
Rey, is that SoCal?
SoCal, yeah, absolutely.
I used to live in Laguna Beach for a while with a guy I met on Norwegian. Actually, back when you and I used to hang out all the time on the sun. Anyway, So speaking of gigs and fancy places, this reminded me of this time. We went and we got hired last minute for this beach party for
Uh-huh.
Boeing. You know, Boeing the airplane.
Yeah.
So we had met on a cruise ship and started this duo, and one of the first gigs we got was doing the duo for a party that was everybody at the party owned something like a 747 Boeing jet. Like it was like big time money, right?
Wow.
So we played the gig or whatever. It was, every last detail was amazing. The place was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
We finished the gig, and then the organizer comes up and is like, we got paid, I think, $500 for the gig, the two of us, right?
Not bad.
So he comes up, and he's like, yeah, guys, really great job. The guests really enjoyed it this year. They said they even liked it better than last year, so that's amazing. And we're like, oh, wow, thank you so much. He's like, yeah, and he starts laughing. He's like, yeah, it's so much better. Like, and we had the band Perry. They cost us $50,000.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know what to take into this. Like my piddly $500 now.
Yeah. Also, I'll take 1% of that budget. That's great.
It's like, way to rub it in. Like, thanks for saying we did a better job than the $50,000 guys.
Great job, guys. You guys saved us so much money.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What's the lowest amount of money you've ever been paid for a gig?
Besides free?
Besides free.
I don't know, probably
which is probably like 75% of them as a musician.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess it would probably be I think maybe like a year and a half ago or something, I used to do some gigs with Isaac where we'd go to this deli in LA where we'd play and we'd get like 10% of the bar sales, but we'd have to split it with like 7 of us because we had a full, like a fairly sized group. And so it would come out to maybe like $20 a person plus 2 beers and a sandwich. So for like 3 hours of performance.
And then you get the sandwich, and then you feel like you got to tip the person who brought you the sandwich.
Exactly. Right? Well, not even that, but they, the dude, there was this whole thing. Anyway, when we would be served the sandwich, they would always look at us like, oh, who are you guys?
Yeah.
Like, you guys are getting over here getting free sandwiches. You guys suck. But yeah, there was this whole altercation between the deli.
They're like, they're giving the sandwiches, talking amongst them. So like, they're taking the sandwich. They're probably not very good.
These guys suck.
Yeah, last band was really good. They didn't need this sandwich. They were doing okay.
Yeah, they were doing all right. Yeah,
these guys, they were able. They didn't need this sandwich.
They're gonna split it up, and half of it's gonna be for breakfast. We know it.
Right. I feel like I almost don't play when I get off ships now, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I almost don't do it because it's got so bad for what they'll pay people that it really, I mean, it's nice to play. I still like performing. Sure. But in terms of this whole, like, what do you work thing, I just feel like it's a lot of the times it's like borderline insulting.
Yeah.
So I just kind of I don't really chase it as much as I probably should.
Right.
I was all excited this time though. Now that I moved to this new province, I was excited to, like, we're out in the country stuff. I wanted to, like, get some local cafes and bars. I was really looking forward to it. Not going to really worry about the money.
Yeah.
But for the most part now, it's just because everybody with social media and YouTube, they all want to be a star, so they learn 4 chords, and then they're willing to show up at a bar and they'll be like, "Hey, I'll do it for $50." And
4 chords is all you need, man.
Yeah, and like, it like works out better for the bar owner sometimes if they are like that weekend warrior, because they do like 2 gigs a year and they bring like 50 of their friends.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, that's
so
very true.
So they're like, well, they're gonna suck, but they're gonna make me a lot of money.
Yeah, because I think about that, and if I was to do a gig out here, how many people do I know that would be like, "Oh man, we haven't seen you play, or we haven't seen you play in a long time," and I could easily bring at least 20, 25 people who are all going to buy a drink. Yeah. Like
Oh
minimum.
man, not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody likes me. Yeah, I am not a good hang. Remember we were talking about that before? Yeah, nobody likes me. No, I feel like when you start playing so often,
Hmm.
you're watering it down so much that people just all see next week with this. Like if you're playing professionally in the sense where your income is coming just from playing bars in your area,
Hmm.
you're not going to get much of a turnout regardless because you know.
Yeah. Now you got to have a very specific act, in
Yeah,
order for that to be something where it changes all the time and whatever. So it's very tough to really pull the same crowd or the same number all
yeah.
the time if
That's
you've
why I
got.
love Ships, man. It's a
Yeah.
built-in audience,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
they're super appreciative. When I was on the Ships, I was doing the James Taylor show and the another one called the Lost Legends show in the smaller theater that holds a few hundred people. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but it's amazing. You don't have to have that stress of like how am I going to get people to come see the show? Like we're doing it for the feeling of performing to people who want to listen to music. When you're on a cruise ship, there they are, and you don't have to go around and stick up posters
That's
and
right.
sort of compromise yourself. Like if you're getting paid $200 to do a Friday night gig, um, and you want people to show up that you don't know, well, the budget to get them out there is going to be on like the posters and all that stuff. So it's like then you start not making any money. But on a cruise ship, you'll get a packed house all the time. They're all
Hmm.
from different places. It's really great, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. You don't have to do anything to draw a crowd because they're all looking for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
My
And
cousin's in the
there's
chat.
good.
Um, I was gonna say that what's up, Jeremy? By the way, he commented a little while ago, but I'm just now catching up to it. He's asking about connections on the ship, and basically his question is how many connections have you made on board the ship that you have had an opportunity to work with off the ship. But I'll let you take this one because obviously your girlfriend right now is a connection from the ship that you're
Right.
connected with off the ship. But I guess we'll move into that territory. How many people have you gotten to connect with off of the ship that you've met on the ship?
Quite a lot, actually. I've had quite a few good paying gigs that come from playing on cruise ships, weddings, stuff like that. But it's always nice to you make friends in the crew. Almost any country you go to, you're gonna have a
Mm-hmm.
friend now, and there's that
Yeah.
connection where you not that you really care about the place to stay, but just to go have somebody to show you around. So if I go anywhere now, I pretty much have a buddy that I can hang out with in whatever country because of how diverse the crew is. But yeah, I would say most of the good things that happened in my career on land comes from being on a ship. Now, when you go away from land so much, it's pretty hard to get like a real artist career, because
Right.
you're not really making much moves, but a lot of that's me not putting the effort into, admittedly.
Sure.
But yeah, always really great players that sometimes they'll do collaborations or get their help with a project or something like that too. It always
Yeah.
comes in handy.
Oh, for sure.
But because you didn't know the guys from the band before you joined, it was just Lacey, right?
No, I actually it was the other way around. I knew the dudes from the group. Well, I knew Isaac rather. I didn't know
Right.
Josh. So it was me, Josh, Isaac, and Lacey, and I knew Isaac. That's it. Josh and Lacey, he met them when he went to Berkeley, and I
Okay.
knew Isaac at the college before that. So, but at the same
Where did you
time,
go? You went there too, or?
Berkeley?
Oh, yeah.
No, no, no. I went to Pasadena City College and Northridge.
All
But
right.
after PCC, when I went to Northridge, Isaac stayed at the community college for another year, and then he transferred over to Berkeley. So he went to the bigger music concentrated school.
Hmm. That's cool. I've been considering going to music school actually because of cruise ships. Because when you work on a cruise ship, you see so many skilled musicians
Mm-hmm.
that I feel like a friggin' bum half the time. Like these
Ah,
guys are
dude,
so
you don't.
good.
You're well. I mean, it kind of depends. Like, if you feel like you could really benefit from the detailed and structured instruction at a
Yeah, that's
school,
what well, that's why I want to go because I keep
yeah,
trying to do it on my own, and I do a bit, but not like if I had to follow a curriculum. I think it'd be really cool.
sure.
I recently started taking vocal lessons though, which have really paid off.
That's great, man.
Yeah,
That's so
and
good to hear.
from a ship connection too. My friend Linda from Australia, she had a friend that was on a contract with her named Umi from Argentina. So we Skype a few times a week and do the vocal lessons.
La 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 la
Yeah,
la.
yeah. The people that I live with are probably so sick of listening to me, and my voice is going through this like transition period of like changing how I was singing. So
Yeah.
I have to do these like honk things to make the sound come up to basically my
Yeah.
frontal placement or whatever, like
Uh huh.
front master. And you just sound like a duck quacking all the time.
Oh. We got
So
Ethan in the chats. What's up, Ethan? If you're still hanging around, Ethan's asking, do you guys know of any recruitment websites for cruise ships where I can upload my resume? Just to jump in there real quick, Ethan, the best thing I would recommend you do is to actually go to the cruise ship website. So if you want to work for Royal, go to the Royal Caribbean
mhm.
website, look at what jobs they're offering currently, which is probably going to be a lot. And you can actually upload your resume there, find out. There's a lot of information just on the website.
what
Um,
what does he want to do? Does
well,
he
that's the
say?
thing. Yeah, he's not. He hasn't been specific about what he wants to do. And I feel like a lot of and I'll be transparent here, is that a lot of the people who ask me, because I get this question a lot, like, how can you help me get on cruise ships? How can I get on cruise ships? Where can I do this? How can I do that? And so that's a very good question that you're asking right now, is that I think everybody should be very specific and intentional about their desires to work on a cruise ship. If you want to work on a cruise ship, it shouldn't just be, well, I just want to get in a cruise ship. Narrow it down to what you want to do.
Yeah, because they might have a rude awakening when they find out the work hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you want to be like a
Depending what you're doing, you know what I mean. Do you remember that guy? Were you on? I think his name was Carl, and he
yes, American Carl,
I, yeah, like the most positive human being on planet Earth. I don't know.
as a waiter. He was a waiter.
Was he? Yeah.
Yeah,
And then he was like always in a really good mood, and he would work like all day, every day.
yeah. I
And
still
it's
talk to him
amazing
every
because
now
he
and
was
then.
American, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so it was like blew everyone's mind that this American would work a job that is so much harder because usually those jobs are filled up by people who actually have work ethic. No, sorry. But, did you know on the what's it called? Well, it doesn't. We don't have to name the line, but this
Sure.
cruise line I used to work for years ago, they have all their ships in the fleet, and then they have one ship that is in Hawaii, and it is just with crew that are from America.
Holland,
So
America.
all these jobs, all the rules are kind of different. Like I think you can only
Yeah.
work 8 hours a day instead of
Yep.
like I think 23 and a half. Like they have something. But
Yeah.
anyway, so when you'd be walking down like the I-95
Yeah.
on the ship that I was on, they would have this big sort of magnetic board with like waves with a magnet of each with each ship in their fleet with like a score, what's that score called? It's like the overall customer satisfaction from like 0 to like 100, right?
Yeah.
And each ship would be like on their water wave, like further along depending what their ratings are, right?
Right.
And every friggin' week, the one that was all Americans doing the job was dead last.
Oh.
like the service was clearly, you know, like they're probably like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do, you know. So the the shift would probably it's pretty brutal to work on because what you know what it's like if you're on a cruise ship and the ratings are bad, everybody starts to freak out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, especially for being from the entertainment department.
Yeah.
You know, like our whole department is based on ratings. I mean, a lot of departments are based on ratings, but ours is like solely based on ratings.
Mm. I've always been really lucky. Like I always get on a team that happens to be really good and the ratings are as good, so it's usually like pretty easy sailing.
Mm-hmm.
I've joined a ship before, and then like the ratings are like brutal, and then there'll be a turnover, and then somehow I get lucky again, and then it all gets put back up, and then life gets pretty chill.
Sure,
But, yeah,
I'm sure the ships
they
notice
start to
that.
sweat a lot when those ratings go down.
Right.
But sometimes I feel like there's innovating for ratings, and at the same time I feel like sometimes we might be striving for like this unattainable goal of what pleasing people. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they're always striving for like, yeah, we got to get to gold. Yeah, because for those who don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong. It was like red, green, and then gold. Is that
platinum was
okay.
if we're platinum, and then it's like considered really good. So
right.
But,
At least for celebrity, because that's the only ship cruise line I've been on. But yeah, they were always saying like, yeah, and here's where we are, and they would have those entertainment department meetings and talk about how we can get to different ratings. But yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I try to stop caring about those because then I actually feel like I'm doing a worse job in a sense because then like you're taking that to heart, like someone actively disliked you.
yeah. No, I remember there was this one time you even mentioned, you were like, I actually really I would prefer somebody either told me I was really good or they really didn't like me. But
I remember having this conversation.
Yeah, you were like, some people that come up to me and they're just like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And like, pretty good.
What
the hell does that mean?
Yeah, it's the worst. When someone says you're pretty good, it's so much more insulting than someone says like you're terrible, or you know, obviously that they think you're amazing is a nice compliment. But if someone says you're terrible, then you go, oh, well, they're either crazy or I'm just not their thing categorically. But when you're pretty good, they know what you're shooting for, and you didn't hit the target.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
I feel like a giant failure. But they've always been pretty nice. I've been really fortunate. I remember once I read in the like I don't really read the comments very often, and I think
that's good.
One of the worst that I ever got was like it like haunts me. It's not even that bad, but just the way they said it was so funny. They're just like they were like naming all the people on the ship, and they're like, this act was really good. This act was really good. And they're like, Michael Redden, though, he failed to impress.
I think you showed me that. I feel like, because for those of you who don't know, I guess depending on the ship you're on, sometimes they print out the comments that
They
that
stopped
guests
doing
will
that,
have.
though.
Oh, did they? How long ago did they stop doing that?
Like at least 2 years ago.
Oh, okay, that's good, because comments
Because
can
I don't
be
think it's
really
good for morale.
negative. No.
Because much like life, people who are negative are louder than people who are positive.
And it's so much
So
easier.
like it's so much easier to like rag on somebody. So a lot of the comments can be filled with people that are just like, you need to do this, you need to do that.
Yeah.
And then if you have this thing on the I-95, which anyone who's listening doesn't know what that is, it's like a big hallway down the middle of the ship where they post things for work or whatever. Yeah, and I think if you go and it's like, you know, so and so did a terrible job at dinner.
Not once did he play Sweet Caroline.
Yeah, we've been going to you know, Michael's Club, and the guy with the voice, that you know, the one that like sounds like a cat screeching, and then now for the rest of your life you just like think that you're awful.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, do I sound like that? Oh.
Yeah. And Michael's Club is not my club. If anyone's wondering, that's the name of the
Rich and fancy
club.
lounge.
Yeah, I think they They changed the name of that now. It's called the something Lounge. It's a different name now.
Oh, well, that
Have you seen the like the new ships that are coming out, like the Edge and
the
stuff
only
like
new one I know of is the Edge. And by the way,
that?
Javier, what's up, Rachel? Javier, we'll get to your question in a second. Rachel, good to see you. We'll get to your question in a second as well. But tell me about the Edge, because I believe you told me that you were doing specific training for the launch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we launched that. I guess it was probably a year and a half ago now. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's about a year
but
ago the Edge came out.
yeah, it was pretty wild, man. They were putting so much like new technology and stuff. It was a lot for them to deal with. But overall,
Wasn't there this elevator on the side of the ship that would take you up and down or something?
yeah,
I saw some.
the magic carpet. That was my favorite place to play, man. It was awesome.
Oh, you played in there?
Yeah, I used to play on there
Oh.
almost every day. It was really cool. It's like it sunsets, and then but you don't move or anything. Like if the ship's moving, you're not on it, and it's not like actively going up and down. Which would be
Okay.
dope.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they usually park it, and then you just have dinner there or whatever, right?
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, cool ship. Technology's crazy. Crew cabins better. If anyone's wondering where they want to go work,
How is that possible?
how is that possible? Someone would have to make a decision to treat us better. Um, but yeah, no, the cabins were better. Just the technology of the stuff are better.
That's cool.
Was better, and like the crew quarters were much better. So like the bar and stuff was a lot nicer.
Oh,
things
that's
like that.
awesome.
When we first started, the food was like way better because everyone was excited, and then it
Oh,
kind of
so
like
you actively saw a decline in the food.
yeah. But I don't know. It could have been like maybe one of the chefs like went home, and then that's it all tricked
Oh.
down.
Yeah,
But
the one
more
who
or less,
actually
it was pretty
cared.
good. But it was
Yeah.
overall a cool experience. They had me. Actually, the worst part about it was. Did you ever see the graphics when they're on?
Yeah.
Did you ever see there was like a tree and there was a guy playing the guitar in the tree? Did you
No.
remember that from the graphics? Oh, okay. Well,
I'll look it up.
so
though.
they had me playing up in this metal tree. So it's like high noon. It's like fucking 40 degrees Celsius. So it's like almost like 100 degrees Fahrenheit in
Oh my
in
God.
a metal tree. You know when you touch your car and it's hot.
Yeah. It's
So
like that
imagine
all
sitting
around
on
you.
the roof. Yeah, imagine sitting on like a metal car and doing a gig. Like just the radiant heat was making me die. And you're like there at lunchtime. I was a mess. It was so hot. But overall, it was still cool.
That's crazy. I couldn't even imagine that. Well, I mean, I imagine that to being similar to like being on a hot roof, if you've ever been on a hot roof.
Well, it was the roof. It was on the roof of the ship, so it was the roof.
Oh,
and then
okay.
To make it
Well,
worse,
then,
I
yeah.
was in a big hot metal tree.
Right.
And they were like, you really got to do the tree, because I'd kind of moaned about it, and they're like, Richard Vane, like, he like really wants you in the tree, like he thinks it's cool. And then like one day I was just like, yeah, I can't do the tree anymore, guys. I think I'm gonna like physically ill if I go back in that
Yeah.
tree. And they're like, okay.
You are going to kill me if you put in that tree.
Yeah. Musician killed in tree.
That's an
This
interesting
Saturday.
headline.
What
So
was the
Javier
question
is
that person had?
yeah, he was asking, do you think we have to have more than 250 songs? I mean, if it's very important to have a lot of songs, or is there a minimum? This is for a duo or a solo guitarist. So, in terms of the repertoire.
Right. I would say I can play between 275 and 300 songs. I probably play about 150, because they're like, my go-to songs, and the crowds are changing so often, and the people who do come back and see you every night and stuff, they become your buddies, and they land up requesting. They're the ones that request the same songs anyway. But that honestly, the worst thing, I know this is going to be weird, but the worst thing about the cruise ship gig for me is like the worst is the paranoia of people thinking that people are taking notes that I'm repeating songs.
Yes.
It like haunts me. It haunts me, and I don't think they notice. I don't think they care. I don't think it matters. As long as you're having a good time with them and making them want to hang out and have drinks, everyone's going to be happy.
Michael's playing the same song. He just played that on Tuesday.
There was this couple that came on a ship, and they come on. They asked me to play Ring of Fire. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll play it for you." So I played the song, and they're like, "Okay, play it again." And I'm like, "No, that would be weird." And they're like, "We'll give you $50 if you play it again." And this was the first day of the cruise, and at this point, I think there was like 3 people on the lounge. This set in the day, nobody shows up to because they're all like just getting to the boat or whatever. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll play it one more time. And then I finished the song. They're like, okay, play it again. And I go, nah, man. Like he's like, I'll give you. I can't remember. He's like, I'll give you $100 this time. I'm like, no, I'm not losing my job for $100. Like,
yeah.
Okay. He's like, he goes, this is our thing. My wife and I go on cruises, and we try to see how many times we can get somebody to play Ring of Fire in a week, usually the acoustic guitar player, and they're like, we got this guy one time, he played it like 50 times, he made so much money off us, so just so you know, if you see us and you want to make a lot of money, we'll just keep tipping you all night to play Ring of Fire. And I was like, that is the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Wow.
I can't even make that up. Like, I mean...
That almost sounds like some kind of fetish.
yeah, he's sitting there like in the shower. You know when I get a Ring of Fire after I eat like really spicy guacamole.
Oh, that's so weird. I would try to think about like, well, what if I just start singing the lyrics to Ring of Fire to different songs and see if anybody notices?
I often wonder how much I could have got out of that, but
yeah, but
it wasn't worth it. That song is tolerable, but
yeah, for sure.
Not for the kind of money they probably would have got me. I don't think.
No, probably not.
One of my last cruises, though.
Yeah.
Man, there was this guy tipping me like crazy. Every time he saw me, he would give me $100 bill. And he kept coming on. Yeah. He gave me like a lot. I think by the end of the week, he in like Canadian, it was like getting somewhere close to $1,000. They were so nice, and I think evidently very rich.
Yeah, definitely. My cousin's in the chat. He's like, he's saying total power move with the Ring of Fire.
Yeah.
So just to kind of cover the duo aspect of his question, when Lacey and I signed on, we literally only had like 75 songs. I don't even know how they were like okay with that, because they asked us for, when you first sign up, they ask you for a list of your repertoire. We had like 75, 80 songs. And I didn't think it was enough. There's no way. And but we did it anyway. And we ended up boosting it to like, I don't know, somewhere around like 125, 140, somewhere around there that we were comfortable playing because we kept learning new songs on the ship. But then once she signed off, I think I had maybe like 60 songs. And so I was on the ship by myself. And I was
singing too?
Yeah. So I was
cool.
I was essentially a solo guitarist for 2 weeks because she had to sign off. So that was my, much like you, one of my biggest concerns is that I had such a limited set list, and I would always be concerned about singing a song and then forgetting about like the high notes in a song. So I'm singing and I'm like, and then I have to jump into like the bridge or something, and I'm like, oh shit, there's that part, and now I'm just like way up here and my voice is cracking.
But the good thing about doing cover songs is that oftentimes if you can't play the song, you do it different, and then someone will be like, I really liked your take on that, and you're like, it's just because I am not good enough to play the song properly.
Yeah, very true.
That's the only reason it sounds that way.
It's like, yeah, look how
But
you went down on the bridge. Yeah, total
I was
choice.
on a ship where there was a band that literally only knew two sets. They only
How
know
does that work?
only two sets. Man, they were stressing though. They were trying to learn music. It would so that would have been stressful for you guys because you guys got there and you were probably like sweating, like, oh man, we got to add this every day. I wouldn't have liked doing
We were
that.
just good enough for like 3 sets. That's pretty much it. So if we had a 4 set
Yeah.
gig, a 4 set day, we're like, oh, okay, which ones can we recycle, essentially?
Yeah, yeah. But the chances of them seeing you again are pretty rare in the same
Exactly.
day.
Usually the 4th set is like Captain's Club or something stupid like that.
Something stupid. You know the one with the people that they regard as like being more important, they get more money. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. We got another question from Rachel, who's asking, do you have a good app or software to store your charts or sheet music on an iPad? What do you use?
I got a good hack for this.
Ooh,
So I use OnSong for reading the charts, and then I use Ultimate Guitar to get the charts. So if you pay Ultimate Guitar for their app, I find it was really glitchy. It was closing.
yeah. I use the same one.
There wasn't a lot of stuff that I liked about it, but it's the most popular one in the world, so it has the most chord sheets and tabs and stuff like that.
Yeah, the most
So
options.
so you can hack it because when you have the free version of the app, you can't do things. I think like you can't auto scroll or
You can't transpose.
like, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You can't transpose stuff, but the data is still in there. So I open the app, I'll search it, and then I will go hit the little pencil to edit, and then it will go, and then I'll just copy, and then paste it into OnSong, and then I'll make it however I want, and then OnSong literally has the best app. Like you can change the
Interesting.
size and colors and all the chords. You can press it and it'll show you how to play them, and you can actually play what it sounds like and everything. It's the best for sure. And you can sync it to other apps. So if you're in the band, you can make a set list and then press a button, and then everybody in the band or the duo that set will appear. So they can just read it, and then like when you scroll, you can make it like a master and slave, so they'll all like scroll together and all
Whoa.
these crazy things. So it's pretty good.
So you pull up the chart from Ultimate Guitar, and
Yeah.
then you go to edit, and then you grab everything,
Copy it,
and then
paste it,
you copy it, then you paste it to OnSong,
yeah.
and then from there, that's where you do all your, whatever minute editing that you do, and then from
Yeah.
there you have all the functionality, because
The functionality is what you want in OnSong, but OnSong doesn't have the database that Ultimate Guitar has, so you kind of have to use them together to be the happiest with it. I was like probably one of the last guys to switch to an iPad on cruise ships. I was like going to do gigs out on freaking lawns with
Did you have a binder?
Yeah, behind it with like the, what do you call them, the clothespins and shit like that to keep the paper down. And it looked like so ghetto. And the guests were like, "Is this modern luxury? That guy looks like he just took duct tape and closed his binder." But then I finally got the app, and it was probably like a year of having the app before I felt, I don't know why, comfortable from putting the binder away. And then now I would never think of going anywhere without the iPad.
Right. What's up, Edison?
Yeah.
So, but talking more about OnSong, because I've never heard about this app. What are some of the benefits
really?
of OnSong? Yeah, never. But that what parts of the app do you use the most that you feel is that you don't get from other apps?
The game changer sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, one of the big things was it wasn't crashing like Ultimate Guitar. Now that could have been just like its relationship with my iPad, I guess.
Sure.
But I'm trying to remember what the big deal with Ultimate Guitar was. There's just like so many more parameters that you can change. And I think at the time when I switched to OnSong, they were the only ones, or the first ones that I came across, that you could put onto dark mode. So
Oh,
I'm sure Ultimate Guitarist had that by now.
sure.
But at the time it was like a big deal. So like you're sitting in a lounge at 11:30 at night, and you have like this white thing blaring in your eyes.
Yeah.
Way better to switch to them black with like red text or something.
Right.
But yeah, just everything about it like was so much nicer. It's just quicker in front of you, like to change the font size and like the distance from like each sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like how far apart they are, how wide the words are, what the words are, the colors. You can change everything. I think you can even write notes on it if you want and stuff like that, like drops. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, is there a membership fee for that one as well?
You just with that one you just buy it outright. Where I think with Ultimate Guitar they were wanting the same.
It was like $5 a month.
I can't remember, but when I canceled it, they somehow wrinkled the $5 out of me every month for like 2 years without me knowing. And I even had to cancel like confirmation email, and then it wasn't even worth the fight. I was like,
sure,
sitting on hold. Anything like Apple related, it's like 2 years on hold. Do you remember? I don't know if this is still a thing where like to talk to somebody about your product that didn't work, you had to fucking pay to talk to them.
No, I've never had to do that, but that sucks, dude. That's
you have to buy like tokens for care.
For like Apple Care or something, or just like apps.
I can't remember, but it used to be like when you'd call and who's the people who make Pro Tools? They used to do the same thing.
Avid Design.
Yeah, I think it was them maybe.
Like that, yeah.
And it drove me crazy. You'd buy a product, and then it wouldn't work, and then before you could even link up with someone to talk about the product, you had to pay to get like tokens to have a conversation with someone helping you.
Right.
But I think it's different now that they like own the world.
How you doing on time, man? We've been streaming for about a little over an hour and a half. You doing all right?
Oh yeah, no, I'm all good. It's up to you, dude.
Cool, man. We're gonna wrap up here, and Guillermo is asking the best thing about being a musician on a cruise ship, and this kind of leads into my question that I normally go into is the kind of the pros and cons about working on a ship. So I guess we'll start off with some of like the best things, and then if you want to kind of just segue that into also things to be aware of in the reality of what to expect being a crew member in general. So, but we'll start off with like some of the things that you really enjoy about working on the cruise ship.
The best part, to accurately, I guess, if I can answer the question about being a musician, on a cruise ship, is you always have a gig. You're always playing, so you're always kind of keeping up. Even though sometimes you can get kind of tired of playing so often, it's really not that bad, and you're kind of keeping your edge up. You're sharpening your tools a little bit every day, and but just having a gig and not having to worry. Where on land you have to just do so much hustling and shit to make ends meet, or that's where I used to be at with it anyway. So it was always kind of stressful, and you'd have to drive around from gig to gig and like lose all your money on that stuff. Where when you're on the ship, you're saving money. That's probably one of the best things. Like a lot of the things that I've been able to get for myself to help me start moving towards getting the things I want in my career I was able to purchase because I could save my money. Where if I was playing as a musician on land, and it would have taken me years to save that money.
Yeah.
Like you got to make the money that you can if you work your way up on a cruise ship at home. You got to be like not only just slaving away, but you got to run into a bit of success because you're not getting paid much on land.
Yeah.
unless you're smart, you can really get into like the corporate gig scene,
Sure.
and then you can make really good money. But bars now, they know that they can just get somebody to play
Well, they'll pay
for
you an
nothing.
exposure. So
Yeah. So
or try to,
and
at
then the
least.
obvious one is that you get to see the world. I've personally been to 70 countries, so I mean, and of the 70 countries, I've probably been to each one of them, up some places up to 50 times, like
Yeah.
and then the other ones a bunch of times too. So you get to start knowing the area and getting a grasp of the cultures, and you see the world a little differently and accept things better. So that's cool. You meet a lot of people. In your case, you met your wife, and I'll hopefully marry Kayla one day. So
Fingers crossed.
yeah, if I don't fuck it up. But and then I guess the downsides used to be for me um, things that shouldn't have been downsides. Like you get into your daily uh, routine and you start moping about stuff on the ship that you shouldn't be moping about. Like, can you believe they want me to do this and this and that? And then when like in hindsight you're like, really, I can't believe like I'm so spoiled. I would like mope about that. So now I would say the only downsides I find from cruise ships is being away from your family
Yeah.
and your friends. So like my best friends and stuff, I don't ever get to see because I'm always in some weird country around the world and having to like talk through some slow ass Wi-Fi or something like that. So your relationship with your friends and family always gets kind of broken up. But a lot of people who are adults at some point have that period in their life where they're going to be not able to always see their family. So I guess that's just the time for me that it was. So
Right.
all in all, though, cruise ships has really been really good to me.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, and I feel like I really respect your response because you've been on cruise ships for a long time, and I feel like you have really made working on cruise ships work for you, literally, because of how I guess the word I'm looking for is how aggressive you can be in terms of just I want this to work for me, so I'm going to negotiate. We talked about the whole negotiating thing before, whereas some people will kind of just coast by and just accept it as it is. But for
Mhm.
you really understand what's going on around you. So
Well, the thing that happens, I think, on cruise ships, I have seen with performers where they can not be as happy as they could be, which I fell victim to this mentality too, is this subconscious ego of like pursue, always trying to be in the pursuit of like this stardom or notoriety, and then you're like almost upset with yourself that you're in this cruise ship gig that you might think that people might have a certain connotation to your abilities or skills or whatever, but then when you realize like let's start removing that from the mentality and like enjoy the music and be happy with what you have.
it looks like the internet dropped. Michael was telling me that he's experiencing some thunderstorms and such, so it looks like it froze, unfortunately. I'm gonna keep stalling for another hit 10 or 15 seconds before we find out if he's actually there or not. It doesn't seem like he's coming back, but regardless, oh, there he is. What's up, man? It dropped out.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can't remember where you left off because I was stalling for about 10, 15 seconds.
Hey, the Wi-Fi here is super slow. It's like satellite Wi-Fi.
Yeah, well, it's actually been
Oh,
pretty
okay.
decent for the last
More
hour and
more
a
or
half.
less though. It's just like anything in life. You get the internet has worked as well as it has because usually it's like dial-up here. Like sometimes we're struggling to even put on a Netflix show.
Wow. But regardless, but I hear what you're saying, man. You get
But
you get
yeah, more
whatever
or
you
less,
put
if you're a
into it.
musician, you can find lots of happiness if you exactly. Like, you take your ego out of the whole gig and just enjoy playing music, and you're gonna have a good time.
Cool, man. I think we're gonna wrap things up now. But we got Edison here. He's a regular. He usually tunes in pretty regularly, and he's saying we got to bring you back. He really likes your depth of explanation on Ship Life.
Oh, great.
So obviously
Well,
we're gonna have
thank
you
you,
back
man.
eventually. But Michael, thank you so much for
Hey, thanks, brother. It's so nice to see you
for
too.
being
We'll
here,
have to
man.
have another catch up too, and
Yeah, we'll have
stay
a,
in touch.
we'll definitely have a catch up. Like for those of you who don't know, this was like literally our first time catching up in a long time, and it was being recorded. But obviously you and I will have to have a catch up that's not in front of a bunch of people, and we can speak
Yeah, we can take our clothes
candidly.
off and cuddle and things like
Yeah, as usual.
that. Casual friend stuff.
But anyway, to everybody out there watching right now, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for watching the Shiplife TV podcast, the show that's dedicated to raising awareness of the opportunity of working on cruise ships and helping new and existing crew have an enjoyable experience. That about wraps things up. If you found any value in this episode, make sure you like us on Instagram and like the episode and subscribe, all that good stuff. And do me a favor. Make sure you go to Michael's channel, show him some love. You can see his information right over here. Michael Redden Music. Check his stuff out. He's got some music out there on YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. And